the weevils are infecting them. So, but at the point of purchase, they will tell you that they have something that would help to keep it fresh. But me, knowing the kind of people I serve, which is children with special needs, I could not afford to start putting that kind of chemical in the food I am producing. But everybody will advise you that this is the only thing that can keep the flour fresh. In fact, the day someone went to my bakery, she cried. She cried because of the amount of products that I had lost because I refused to use a certain type of preservative. And these ones, they tell you they are natural preservatives. They hardly do the work. They don't do the work. Let us just be honest.
Yeah, I was going to add on that.
Yes. The
when
ones
you want to get flour, make sure, do we read? It's like, you know, when somebody says, what's it again? Sorry to jump in. I was thinking, you know, when we take medication.
Yes.
You know what the first thing they will say before you take? Always read the label.
Yes.
But do we read the label? Because sometimes we just want to just jump straight to it.
Yeah, because sometimes you want to jump straight to it, but that is why. But I'm telling you that a lot of times, even reading the label may not really cut it for you, because
no, you won't cut it. But now you just need to know exactly.
Yeah, I'm trying to tell you
what it's got in it.
Yes, but I'm trying to tell you the other part of me as a producer, as a food producer, no longer as a nutritionist. As a nutritionist, I am very passionate about asking people to read label. And when I became a food producer, I saw the other side of the whole picture. That is a big dilemma. Why is it a dilemma? Because as a producer, there are things that is almost inevitable, except if you hold a very strong, a very high moral standard. So I was saying that someone went to my bakery and shed tears because they saw the amount of flour that had gone to waste, which is because I refused to use an artificial preservative, which I know will be harmful to children with autism. Hello, Kumar. Good to see you. So I refused to use that, and my raw materials were practically wasting. I knew what I could have done, but I know that whatever I was going to do was going to be very harmful to the children I support. So now tell me, if a producer does not hold a very high standard of value and integrity in his production, he wouldn't mind. He would just look for anything that will preserve their raw materials until they produce it. So, but because I was also a professional as well as a producer, I knew the implication of doing that, doing whatever I was going to do. But a producer who's just a producer will basically just do what they are supposed to do to save their products. Anna Frena. Anna, thank you. Hi, Anna. So the point I'm making is that producers sometimes are not just outrightly wicked, or they're not just outrightly saying, okay, let us just give it to these people and make our money. Sometimes they are torn between integrity and loss. They are torn between integrity and loss. Like I said in my bakery, I was torn, but I chose integrity and I lost thousands, hundreds of thousands of money.
Wow.
Yes. Because I could not put the chemical in my flour, in my raw material.
So wait a second.
Yes.
Sorry to cut in. You mean to say you didn't put chemical and you lost a lot of money?
Yes, I didn't put the chemical.
That is so weird.
But that is the truth.
That's surprising, because why would people not want to why would they want to say no to chemical, and then if they say yes to chemical, they pay a lot?
That's the point I'm making. If you say no to chemical,
this and that and bad, but I'm thinking, but what do they do about it? Because you have places like America that is highly producing things in chemical, honestly.
Now, let me tell you what happens. What happens is that the only alternative for that which I did was to put those products in a freezer. And maintaining a freezer at a freezing temperature all year long is not small money.
Wow.
And if I add the cost of freezing that product to the cost of my production, it is going to triple the cost of my product.
Whoa.
Yes, and those out there would want to think of it like, oh, why should I buy this for this amount of money and I will still get the same thing with this little amount of money? They don't care about the process. They don't care about how it came about. All they want is an affordable product that is palatable. So that even you as a consumer, all of us are guilty. Because I remember, Anna Frena, I don't know who is doing this, but thank you. I remember when I would bake a bread without sugar, the customers would, yes, they would buy it, but they would never come back again. The same people who are preaching no sugar, no sugar, no sugar, they won't buy it. They will go and buy the one that is laden with lots of sugar. Believe me, they will go and buy the same one that is full of sugar, but when they come back to you, they'll be like, oh my God, I don't want to be eating sugar. And then tomorrow you see them eating the one that has the sugar, and then you say, okay, let me bake the ones that do not have sugar. Nobody will patronize Israel.
But naturally, for me to add on is I really like bread.
Yes.
Baked without sugar. It's the real one.
How many of you are out there? Can the number of people liking bread without sugar sustain a bakery, if I may ask? Because let me tell you the truth, if you're baking without sugar, like I was baking without gluten, and I tell you, the person baking the bread with gluten would sell 1,000 before I could sell one. That was the reality. So I was also torn between, should I be baking the same gluten in that same bakery? Because if I baked with gluten, I would be selling a lot, like a lot. But I was also not doing it because I know that if I bake with gluten in the same bakery, I'll be hurting people who are actually gluten-free because there will be cross-contamination. But that was me having this big bakery and nobody is patronizing you. If they buy 2,000 breads in the supermarket tomorrow, the only gluten-free they are buying is like 3 or 4. Go check it at Tesco. Go to Tesco tomorrow. Yes.
It's true.
Yes.
It's true because I've seen it. Because there's not a lot my mind is saying.
Exactly.
So what exactly what exactly was it called? Not you. The country. What is the country doing to us? What's encouraging us to do, to eat? Because the majority, a lot of UK households eat bread.
But they eat the gluten bread. They eat the normal bread.
Majority.
Even the seeded breads are not selling as fast as the just white sweet bread.
No.
So a lot of people would rather just still buy that white sweet bread. So
that is probably why they can't get their hands on, because they're used to it. When they're used to it, it's going to be hard for them to try new.
Israel, when you're used to something, it's just because it hasn't become a matter of life and death. If you are used to a particular food and someone tells you, if you eat this food again, tomorrow you are dead, you won't eat that food. But a lot of people tend to feel that they can always cheat. They think that the body will always adjust. Yeah, I can just do this little one and then tomorrow I will go back. Oh, it's not a big deal. It's just this once, it's just this twice, it's just these three times. And it keeps going and it becomes a habit. And people tend to do that a lot when it comes to their health. They wouldn't do that when it comes to their finances. Because if you lost money somewhere today, you go tomorrow, you're not going to go there again next tomorrow. But when it is about their health, there is always that tendency to feel that, yes, the body will adjust. It's not significant. It's not much. It's not a big deal. Hello. So a lot of people do not take their health serious. They always feel that it's not a big deal. Yes, Temilade, a producer would love to maximize profits. 99.9% of producers are not going to lose their products just because they want to do the right thing for their consumers. The best they can do for their consumer is not to overdo it. So if it was a pure producer of a flour, of a gluten-free flour, a pure producer of gluten-free food, is not going to risk his or her raw materials just because the people that will eat the food, it's not like they will eat it and fall and go and be unalived. It's not that they will just eat it and fall off, but because they will eat it and it will accumulate in the body. So the ordinary producer is not going to care about that. It's just going to say, anyways, it's not like it's going to kill them. Yeah. So they just go ahead and preserve that flour however they know best, spending the least amount of money while maintaining their profit. So what I am saying here is that it is not difficult, it is not easy for both the producer and the consumer. Because when it comes to food, some foods are very, very delicate. They are very, very perishable. And when you're dealing with such food, you do everything possible to also be able to produce, a presentable food that is not perishable. I am a food technologist and I am a human nutritionist. So when I'm talking about food, I know what I'm saying, and I know that I could view food from different angles. I could view food from the angle of a food technologist, and I could view food from the angle of a human nutritionist. So as a food technologist, I will tell you that very few foods on the shelf are there without a preservative. For food to be on the shelf, there has to be something that has to be done on it. And it can take different angles, either to stop the growth of microorganisms through a chemical, or stop the growth of microorganisms by reducing the moisture content, or stop the growth of microorganisms by barrier, creating a barrier. So, and all of these processes, none of them is cheap.
No.
Yes, none of them is cheap. And unfortunately, the cheapest one is a chemical.
Which is sad.
Which is sad, but it's unfortunate. It's the reality.
It is the reality.
Yes, in all of this, the chemical is the cheapest. Creating barrier.
Are the cheapest,
yes.
And plus, the reason why they're cheaper because so that people can buy it, but they don't know what it's going to do to them on a long run.
Exactly.
Because they're not looking after, what's it called? Where we live right now, UK is not looking after its people. It's not. It's not looking after us. What they're encouraging us is to say, look, what was it they said again? They was talking about tackling obesity.
Yes.
And I said, okay, so if you're talking about tackling obesity, then where do you want to start off with? Because you've got to look into the chemicals that you're encouraged to buy. So if you want to tackle obesity, then kick out your chemicals out of your food then.
Yes. when you kick the chemical out of your food, it doesn't necessarily tackle obesity, because obesity is more like a lifestyle challenge. It's a challenge that occurs when you are taking in more than you are removing. When you are eating more than you are expending, the energy you consume is greater than the energy you expend. And then the rest begin to accumulate in your body and you start getting obese. However, some chemicals are added in food that make food addictive. Some people add chemicals that intentionally make food addictive, such that people will just continue consuming and consuming even when good evening, oh, good evening, Johnny with cerebral palsy. I invited you, but I don't know why you didn't enter. Yes, Temila, the energy imbalance. Energy imbalance is the highest culprit in obesity. But yeah, some producers have also intentionally made it such that many foods are becoming very, very addictive, that people will continue to consume and consume even when they no longer have the need to. And that is where anybody can support people in terms of obesity. Obesity is more or less a lifestyle issue, self-control, level of satiety, because it could be a deficiency of a hormone that could cause one not to know when they are satisfied. It happens a lot in children with neurodevelopmental challenges. A lot of them don't know when they should stop eating. A lot of them cannot control their appetite. They just eat and eat. So these are the factors that could, aggravate obesity concerns. But if it's about chemical, what the chemical is doing is way, way, way worse than obesity. Way, way worse than obesity. I don't know if you're still there, Israel.
Because really and truly, like I said, I mean, you're making a very, you're thinking about others, how we're gonna live.
Yes.
You have thoughts about how we're gonna live for the next 10 years' time.
Mm-hmm.
And I salute you for having the thought, because it's rare when people in United Kingdom will think something like that.
Yeah, because I work directly with people who are already damaged. So it would be like catastrophic if I'm looking at a child whose system is already in disarray and I want to add something again that would further damage such a child. It would be very, very disappointing and very, very immoral of me to do that. But come to think of it, there are people whose main target, okay, let me say I started that bakery because a lot of times when I recommend certain foods for people, they don't know where they can get it. So I decided that since I'm a food technologist, I can do this. Then I started it. So that was my aim. My aim is to supply what is in need. But 99.90% of businesses were started with the aim to make the largest amount of money. So that person, when they are starting a business, the market research was about demand and supply. The market research was not necessarily about meeting the need. Even if the person is going to meet the needs of people, they were going to research on the largest amount of demand, the largest thing that people are demanding. That is what they will go and start manufacturing. But in this case, the main purpose of the business was different entirely. The need was not, the purpose was not to meet the need of the largest percentage of population, but the need to meet the desire to meet the need of these people that are in their need of a product. So you should also understand that the purpose-driven businesses should always align with their purposes. Businesses should always align with their purposes, the principles of the entrepreneur, the ideas and the values of the person that instituted it. So I am not expecting every business to go with my model, but I'm just saying that going by most model of many businesses, nobody is going to think about that for you. They do what they want to do because it's most profitable, and because maybe there hasn't been any regulation saying you shouldn't use a particular condiment or preservative. Good evening, madam. Good evening. Thank you for dropping by. Actually, today we wanted to discuss about tic. We are talking about tic in children with autism. And a lot of parents, and I mean a lot of parents observe this in their children. Tic is something that has become when it's really pronounced, it has its own name. It has another name. They call it Tourette syndrome. But if it is not pronounced, it can just be visualized as tic. And a lot of children on the autism spectrum have been identified to have this condition. Temilade, do you have anything you can talk on tics?
This is actually the first time I'm hearing about that. It's new to me.
Okay,
Can you please
tics.
spell it? Tic?
Yes.
Can you spell it?
TIC.
Okay. I'm just hearing about it for the first time.
Yes, the tic is like you can see some children that will just be doing this.
Is it like seizures?
It's not a seizure, it's tic, involuntary movement of muscles. Yeah, involuntary movement of muscles.
Okay.
It can be in form of body movement. It can also be in a vocal. It can be physical or vocal. So some children experience the physical tic where they twitch muscles. You just see them
Suddenly
twitch.
jerk?
It could be, you can say it's jerk, but it has a name, and the name is tic.
All right.
Yes. So it has been very common in children with autism. Like we said, it can be physical, and it can also be vocal. So some children with autism, you can see that their parents would experience them, just making some kind of noise. Have you noticed, maybe this one is mostly by children with cerebral palsy. Sometimes you just be hearing them say,
Yeah.
Some of those can be associated with tic. Also, just some repetitive, involuntary utterances, like just, uttering some kind of verbal outbursts from time to time. It mustn't be grunting. It can be grunting, it can be screaming, it can be any form of utterance in terms of those that have the vocal tic. But there's also the motor tics, where a child can just be doing this. And recently, I also realized that tic can also happen. Okay, we are not talking about the causes yet, but why I wanted to talk about it today is that I observed something, profound in a child with autism, and it became very disturbing, because what we were still talking about, not reading label, a lot of us do not read label, and then we start certain things that we eventually do not even know how we came about, and we start something that we don't know what to expect or how it works, and then we just continue until it has happened, and then there is no way we can remedy them. I will talk about this later, but now we are looking at the difference between tics and stimming, because children with autism can stim also. Stimming is like they can you can see a child with autism doing this. You understand? Have you seen
Yeah.
any you have seen any child doing this? Some of them, you see them doing things like this. Those things are like movements they do to regulate themselves. When they are overwhelmed, their body is looking at ways it can use to regulate itself. It's bringing itself back to balance. But this is different from tic. We are just looking at how does tic differ from stimming, because now from what we are saying now, a lot of people may begin to understand stimming as tic. And then the nature of stimming is usually something they do because they feel it's going to help them. But the tic is something they can't control. You can tell a child with autism, stop. If it is stimming, they can actually obey and stop. But if you tell a child who is ticking to stop, they will not be able to control it except it's over. They will continue to do what they are doing except it's over, or the body is kind of resting from a particular
So
bout.
tics is kind of involuntary, while
It's purely
stimming is
involuntary.
voluntary.
Yes. Stimming can be both voluntary and involuntary, because a lot of times the body itself is making those things to help the child to regulate. But sometimes the children started doing it and realized that they feel comfortable when they do it. You understand? So they now form it as a habit that whenever they feel overwhelmed, they start doing that. So that is stimming. But the tic is that they can't even control it. There's nothing they can do about it. It has to take its course, and then it has to finish. And then it has some, when we look at the different purposes, why is it done? Like we already say, there's no clear function of ticking. Ticking does not solve any problem, but stimming is regulating. Stimming helps them to calm themselves or to satisfy their sensory seeking behavior. Do you understand when we say sensory seeking in children with autism? Definitely.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand when we say sensory seeking in children with autism?
You can explain.
Okay, sensory seeking is that sometimes they become dysregulated. I'm just sending invite. Sometimes they become dysregulated. Okay, let's say a child with autism sometimes may just want a deep pressure. You see them sometimes when they are restless, is not necessarily something from the inside. Sometimes they are just dysregulated. So their therapist sometimes will identify that what is going on is they need a sensory support, and that is why sometimes they just kind of give them deep massage, give them deep
Just like calm them down.
that deep massage will help to calm them down and get them to function again in most cases. So that one is like sensory seeking. The senses are overwhelmed. It just needs to be re-regulated. By overwhelming, how do children get overwhelmed? They get overwhelmed because, for instance, if I have this bottle of water now, I'm just seeing this bottle of water, and that is what it is to me. okay, it's mostly happening with noise and sound, but using this as an example, if I come, okay, let me say if I come into this room, my brain can already just regulate that this is flower, this is flower, this is cotton, this is wall, this is laptop, this is chair. You can see I can actually identify more than 7 things. But the brain of an autistic child may not grasp all these things at once. Even if they grasp them at once, it's kind of jumbled up. Some of them may be so mixed up, like there are too many things to comprehend at the same time. So it kind of gets them overwhelmed. So some of them, when they enter a new environment like a shopping mall where there are too many people moving around, or
Yeah.
a school where a lot of people, or a church where there are too
An
many people,
overcrowded
a
place.
overcrowded place, music is playing, people are dancing, the light is rotating. Some of them, yes, some of them really get overwhelmed because it is difficult for their brain to capture all those things at the same time. So in such situations, some of them would want to deregulate, like, you know, restore that balance that they need to function. Israel, are you there? Hello?
Yep.
Yeah, so we are talking about tick. And
Tick, yeah.
yeah, we are saying the difference between ticking and stimming.
Yes. Stimming, yes, I know people stim, what we are not aware of, because I was listening to what's it called? One friend of mine, she's a doctor,
Yes.
and she's on the autistic spectrum herself.
Oh.
She stims as well.
Mm-hmm.
She stims as well. And nobody understand what stimming does. Some people think stimming is a problem.
It is not.
No. They think to her that she's stimming around people is a problem. Like you said, it's not, because they're lacking of
Knowledge.
knowledge.
Yes.
Because why do we lack knowledge? Because we don't. People say they heard of stimming, they've heard of this, that, but they don't dig their head into what it does.
Yes. That's why I always feel bad that a lot of people that should be here are not actually here. And then tomorrow, they will call you and be like, hey, this is going on. And then I'm like, I talked about this in my life the other day, but you were not there. You can't even be there. Like, they're not interested. But when they have this challenge, they will come asking. But anyway, the point.
No, but true. True.
The point is that stimming is very, very different from tick.
Okay.
A lot of children have tick.
Oga should be with us shortly.
Yeah, I think so. Nice to meet you, Timilade.
Okay,
Nice
I'm
to
not
meet
there
you
again.
Where are you based, Timilade?
Nigeria,
Oh, Nigeria. Oh, okay. Where about Nigeria?
Ibadan.
Oh, I have a friend that lives in there.
Oh, you have a friend in Ibadan. I was just sharing the live to my support group on WhatsApp. Sorry about that. I just needed to send it out. So ticking is different from stimming, and a lot of parents worry about stimming, thinking that it is ticking. So the topic tonight is that we are trying to create that difference. Let people know that when a child is stimming, it is really not an issue, and you should be able to identify when your child is stimming and when your child is having tic, because when we go down, we are still going to talk about how we can, the certain things that can be done to address tic, so that parents can identify what is tic and what is stimming. So we say that in ticking has no definition, like there's no defined function. But steaming is something that helps people to regulate. When their senses are overwhelmed, they steam to find balance. And steaming comes in so many ways. Those that are maybe high functioning have found a way to control their steaming. You see some people, they have these spinners. Some people, they have the squishy balls. Some people, they have like the magnetic sand. Z, welcome, good to have you if you're still there. So a lot of people have a way to regulate themselves. It's either you're using the spinner, the squishy ball, the magnetic sand, there's this ball also that can just feel like it's melting into your hand. So these are ways that people find to regulate themselves and stop themselves from being overwhelmed. But when it comes to tic is something they can't even regulate, they can't control. It's more like an issue. Just like Israel said, ticking is issue, but steaming is not issue. However, they may look alike when you see people doing them. Yes, Israel. Hello, Israel.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, maybe let me just this little second. Let me just borrow, because you know when you're trying to look over Google, and I don't know if it's affecting TikTok, but if it is, I'm just gonna get my tablet because I
Okay.
was looking at the difference between tick and
And
stimming,
steaming, yes.
because I wanted it to add up to
Yeah.
where you are. So hopefully, just give me a second. Just a second.
Okay,
Thank
while
you.
you are looking it up, we are going to look at how do you support a child who is having tic, because the biggest part of having tic is embarrassment. The people,
Well, okay, I
yes.
found it. I
Okay,
found it. I found it.
you want to share with us what you have?
Yeah, well, okay. What people should know about tic is like tics are sudden, rapid, and jerky movements or vocalizations that are often triggered by an urge.
Yeah.
And examples: eye blinking, throat
Yes.
clearing, nose twitching, head jerks,
Yes.
various vocalizations. The
Yes.
stimming is hand flapping, rocking, finger waving, pacing, which I do sometimes.
Okay.
But that's just not, don't crucify. That's just to tell the truth.
It's a regulatory movement. You're trying to
Repetitive
regulate.
thinking, vocalizations like humming and grunting.
Yes.
So let me just really add my view before you go any further, because I want to try and end it in time. Or if you could do part 2 about the stimming and tics, right?
Okay.
The reason why we fail to know the difference between stimming, because we don't really read enough, because stimming is still ongoing, but we don't ask where is this. Okay, we don't ask, okay, why? Okay, everybody asks this question: why is he stimming? Why is she stimming?
Yes.
Within our community, because our community doesn't have a clue how they operate.
Yes.
Now, it's not out of arrogance, and it's certainly not out of ignorance.
Yes.
It's because we are not being sensitive enough. We're not reading enough, because they are not a crime. It's not like possessive stuff. No.
Yeah.
Some people, let me give you an example, if you don't mind. On steaming. Now, some people say, why do you pace? But they don't know it's part of steaming.
Yes, it's a part of steaming.
Why do you pace? Okay, sometimes I pace. I didn't, my parents didn't know anything about stimming.
Yeah.
No, there were babies in the game. No offense. Because they were just thinking that, oh, you don't talk like anybody else. That was where their mind went to.
Yeah.
But there was more than just talking. Instead, to understand that you pace should not be the crime.
An issue. Yeah.
It should not be it. But they failed to read, to dive in more about why, what is pacing. Because people have repetitive blinking. Because I was telling somebody, was it a few years ago, that I have repetitive, but they fail to understand.
Israel, let me tell you something. Again, I have played the two roles.
I know you have.
I have played the role of a parent and I've played the role of a professional. And this is what I have to tell you. You don't have to be anything angry or uncomfortable with how your parents handled it.
I'm not angry, no.
But what I'm going to tell you today from the parent's point of view is that if I wasn't a professional, what I would go to check is, how can I stop my child from pacing around?
That's what happened.
Do you understand? But because I am a professional, I ask, what causes a child to pace around? Do you understand? So the point I'm making here is that when parents do not grasp it, that is why people are professionals. And parenting does not come with a manual. Parenting is not a profession because nobody teaches you, nobody has bachelor's degree in parenting or has a professorship in parenting. The children just come and then we just start seeing this thing that is something we have never seen in every other child, something that even when you talk to other parents that should be giving you ideas, they are also clueless. So as a parent, if my child is pacing, I go to a function and there are like 20 children and only my child is pacing. I wouldn't go saying, why does my child pace? What causes my child to pace? The only thing that my head will be saying, how can I stop my child from pacing? And what you'll be seeing is tie him down or use a rope. I'm sorry, but it happens. I remember someone telling me that we should be using a rope to tie the child on the waist when you're going out so that they don't go off track. I personally felt offended. That why should someone advise me to tie my child with a rope? But let me tell you, Israel, if my child did not have a neurological challenge, I wouldn't feel offended with that suggestion. Because I see a lot of parents of neurotypical children using the harness to hold their children on their waist. And it's normal. It looks normal. But as soon as your child is having a challenge, it becomes an insult. Believe me, it becomes a huge insult. They'll be like, what are you insinuating? That my child is an animal, that I have to use the harness and tie him. But that could have just been an honest suggestion, which you would happily do if your child were neurotypical. Yes. So I do not and will not and will never blame any parent for how they have chosen to go about their journey. That is why it is called journey, and each journey is personal, and it is so demanding, so painful, so consuming that you just do what comes to your mind at every point in time. Nobody is teaching you nothing. I mean, even when you get advice, it is based on that person's experience. And believe me, 80% of the time, it is not what is happening to that person that is happening to your own child. because every child is different.
Yeah, true.
If you talk about not sleeping at night, some children just wake up and they sit on their bed and you know they are awake. Some wake up and they're like and it's daybreak and they won't sleep. Some wake up and are jumping on their bed until 5 a.m. Some wake up and are screaming all over the house until daybreak. But when parents come together, all you hear is that we do not sleep at night. If I am giving you advice, I am giving you advice based on my child that hums, but your own child probably does not hum. Your own child probably screams, and the other person's child probably just lies down but consciously, awake. Do you get? So parents are lost, Israel. Parents are lost on what to do, how to go about these things. It's a journey that nobody wants to go, maybe once or twice or even want to go at all. So that is why we are here. This thing we are discussing, even you, Israel, you didn't know it. And believe me, at your age, if you married early, you would also be a parent and you would know it. Yes.
Look, you saying about marriage, you know what? If I was to tell you, boy, you'll be kicking harder. I'll be like, look, honestly, marriage to me, well, it depends on who embraces you,
Yes.
Because I had somebody raise the topic, kind of, can a person on the spectrum get married? And somebody said it's possible.
Very, very possible. It shouldn't even be a question at all.
I don't know why it was a question. I don't know why.
It shouldn't be a question because it's 100% possible.
Yeah, if one is willing to understand.
And then it also depends on severity of the autism. Please, just before we continue, Temilade, you guys should go to your gift and click heart me, the heart thing. Just heart me so that we can be teams.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just the heart me.
I've done that.
Please continue, Israel.
I've done that already.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. So on the same, what was I gonna say? Is that
marriage.
You must be able, when it comes to marriage and all that, one needs to be able to understand the individual needs.
Yes.
Because some of them may like their space, some of them may not like you to be. One would just want to be on their own, etc., etc. And then one of them will just may not want you to be all over in their face.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think, yes, you're right. It should not be a question.
It should not be a question. It should be like,
the answer should be yes.
Have you found the right person?
Yeah, that's the question. Have you found the right person that will know your needs? Like that.
And then a question of, does this person really understand what is involved in this relationship?
You know what? My friend was telling me that if I'm ever going to settle and marry, she mentioned it to me, was it yesterday? She said, you need to have someone that understands you, that will cater your needs, not somebody that's going to come and terrorize you like that.
Exactly.
And I had somebody what came to my life and tried to terrorize everything and was trying to disorganize it, or trying to make me feel like I'm not worthy to be the guy.
Yes.
And things like that. And I told myself, look, you don't need somebody that is going to make you feel unworthy, or just because you're not living in their lifestyle, or etc. It's because when they are failing, look, the most important thing is if they're not ready to know your needs or not ready to meet it, or they just think that, oh, you're capable, then what do you do as a person who is on the spectrum? At times, I know it may be hard for me to say. Sometimes you can say no if it's not really going to sit well, because you don't want to be. Because there was a time I nearly had a mental breakdown.
Yes.
And I had to run away to
Mm.
get out of it, because when the person is putting too much excessive
Pressure.
pressure that is trying to buckle you down into size, and then you're not thinking, and at times you're playing, what's it called, gaslighting,
Yes.
playing games, thinking all it's your fault that you failed to do this, then it hurts the individual.
It does. It does.
And I had some nights where there was a moment where she blamed me for not picking up the phone, and then she questioned me saying, "Is there a girl sleeping in your house?"
Really?
And it turned into a serious headache. It turned into a headache. It turned into severe headache. And there was a time she said she wanted to move into my house so she can play controlling or cohabiting.
Yes.
And then I just said to myself, you're not going to do that, in my head, because if she came, she would have messed up my name, would have messed up everything that I've worked hard for.
Yeah.
And you can see why it's very important, because the lesson I learned is, don't assume everyone's going to embrace you.
Exactly.
Especially when it comes to church goers.
You just got it.
Jump over the cliff like that just because they're singing and praising hallelujah and all that. That's fine, but are they ready to be the one? If they're not ready to be the one, there's no point standing in your face and giving you sweet love talks, then to when it becomes sour and it becomes it's not going anywhere. So in my experience, there's what's the word I'm looking for? We have to be a bit more aware.
Yes.
Because no point you be lying or trying to change to fit the selfish motive, and then you yourself are pushing some important people away from your life.
Especially when you know that your mental health is like fragile.
It's fragile, yes.
Yes, and then this person is using it to manipulate you.
That was where I ended up getting manipulated, because their mom was saying you're getting manipulated. But here's the sad thing that you wouldn't believe. I ended up behaving in denial.
Oh dear.
I was denying it. I just said, how in the world, for a guy like you, for you to deny in front of your mother, for you to deny just because of love, and then not realizing she's gaslighting you.
No, let me tell you the truth, Israel. The truth is that you started to feel like you became afraid that if she left, no one else is going to accept you for who you are. And let me tell you, it happens to even the best of people.
I think you're close on that one.
Yes.
Because I think you are very close.
Yes.
But then again,
but let me tell you, it's not just because of
intention.
It happens to even the best of people. It's not just because of who you are. It happens to even the best people on earth. You could have that phobia that because this person was nice to me, if they left me, how am I going to live without him? Or how am I going to live without her? And then you forget that you were alive before that person came in the first place.
Yeah, it's true. And do you know what the funny thing was? She didn't leave me when this whole thing started. It was me that walked away.
Yeah.
And do you know when you said, if she leaves me, when she said, if she leaves me, then how am I going to live? Tells you what? To turn the tables upside down.
Yeah.
I was able to get out of it.
Yes.
And when I got out of it, my sister asked, I have two sisters, by the way.
Yes.
One was asking me, do you feel happy?
Yes.
Do you feel sad for walking away? Here's my answer. My answer was no.
Mm.
I didn't feel sad for walking away.
Mm.
I felt joy for walking away, because when somebody is making you unhappy for the past couple of months,
Yes.
then it's down to you to say, you know what, I'm out of
I'm
it.
done.
I'm
Yeah.
kicking you out the door, and it's like I'm throwing you into the trash can. So therefore, I am not unhappy. Let's put the word, I'm joyful for
Yes.
walking away, because it sounds very unusual for someone to say that. But when I left, I felt I can enjoy my life again without feeling the strain, or without feeling bad, or sitting up at night and thinking
Yes.
what is going to happen. I think on the flip side, on the real, I felt peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
I felt things were restoring. I felt the relationship to my family came back to where it needed to be.
Yes.
And I'm very grateful that every single opportunity had restored.
Yes.
And I told myself that, and I warned myself, please do not push the people who have been in your corner for decades. You know?
People who truly love you.
Yeah. And that was where I now keep telling myself all the time, never allow arrogance to push
Yes.
you away. Never allow people to tell you some things and then you end up doing things. For example, like there was a time my dad, I love him, but I felt there was pressure. This was 2 years ago.
Yeah, to get married.
Yeah, but the problem was I didn't want to buckle under the pressure. I didn't want to, but I felt it was ongoing. And when you're pushing it, it's like you're making me want to go to the wrong people.
Yes.
It's making me want to end up saying fine.
Yeah, just to fulfill that demand, you would overlook certain things just to get on with what you need.
But then again, it ended up to be a war. It turned out to be a war, honestly speaking. Like when I was saying to Dad, what about this person? Dad was not feeling her. Then I think for the past few months, we were having a war. The family and I were having serious war between the one I was dating.
Mm-hmm.
It was because the person was like not telling me the truth. She was hiding things.
Oh, really? That's painful.
It was really painful. But then when I heard what Mom was telling me, that she was this and that turned into an argument.
Yes. You didn't want to believe it.
I didn't want to believe it. Like, for example, when she asked her, are you married? And then Mom was like trying to get her answer out of her mouth. When she said yes,
really?
When she said yes, my mom was like, we are not the one we are looking for.
Ooh, she's married.
Yeah.
And then what was she looking for in you?
Do you know what the problem was? She was looking for me to give her documents.
Oh dear.
And that was where it was. She wasn't after me. She was coming for what I wanted to get.
What she was gonna get from you.
Yeah, to get from me. There was a time she went to the Home Office. And she went to the Home Office and she got my name involved without my consent.
Really?
Without my answer. And then I said, okay, but then here was the problem. The problem was that she kept lying too much. The lying was too much. And I said, well, then what are you doing here then? Then why are you saying yes to Mom? And then why are you lying to me then that you're not married? So it's like you're playing with minds, you know. And if I had my way, I would have said, if Mom is saying you're married, then why are you loud trying to cover up? Are you
No.
pretending to be the innocent?
The thing, Israel, is that I want to bet on my whatever it is. I need to bet on that you probably never asked, because
I did ask.
you did ask if she was married.
But then she denied it.
Oh, she said no.
She denied it many times.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But when your mom asked, she admitted to it.
No, when mom asked her, when I wasn't around, because mom was meeting her, mom was asking her. I wasn't there when they had the meeting.
Yes.
So I asked mom, and then mom said she's married.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Now, when she said that, that was when I became like infuriated. And I was like, why am I hearing, yes, you're married, then she's now covering it all up.
Oh,
And
dear.
it was like I was really on a battlefield. It's like, you know, when you're stuck, who do you want to believe?
Yeah, should you go with your mom or you should go with this person?
It was like wriggling and wriggling. It was ongoing, but not knowingly. It was just going into chaos.
Yes.
And the whole thing was, it was causing fights between me and my family. Too much of it. It was causing fights between me and the people that really loved me a lot.
Yes.
So it really did its damage.
Because they were seeing things you weren't seeing.
No,
you were blinded by your feelings, and you weren't seeing the things that those around you were seeing. And this happens a whole lot, even for neurotypical people. A lot of times you get blinded by, okay, the person comes in and is playing so nice with you, and you are like, oh my God, I've just gotten an angel. But you know what my father told me once is that people's behavior, like people's character, is an aura. It goes with you wherever you are. It doesn't matter how much you pretend. And Bob Marley said, you can fool all the people sometime. You can fool some people sometime, but you cannot fool all the people all the time.
No.
So
no, you can't.
There will always be people. And then a friend of mine told me today that instead of praying for enemies to go or to this to happen, we should actually be praying for the spirit of discernment.
Yes,
because with discernment, many things that we pray for wouldn't even be an issue. If we are able to discern,
number one. It should be number one.
Yes.
Right. It should be number one, because we don't pray for discernment a lot.
Yes, we don't.
Pray little, rather than saying, I mean, I'm not trying to make it spiritual.
Yes, yes, I know.
I'm trying not to be all churchy and too all heavy religious or sanctifying when you're all that piece of junk. You know, I'm trying to say, some people say, let your enemies be frustrated, and I'm thinking, okay, all right then. But what about, like you said, discernment? Huh?
Yes.
So what about it? Because discernment is key. It's not everything died by fire, sorry to say.
Yes, yes.
Because we keep saying died by fire. And I said, look, it's not died by fire. It's also about wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Wisdom and knowledge and discernment.
Yes.
Sometimes we don't ask God for wisdom enough.
Yes.
To know where we are crossing legs to. Because if we had our discernment, then the answer will be written in front of you.
Exactly.
Because
you will see the intention even before the activity starts.
Look, majority, I'm not like, again, you know Solomon in the Bible. He was watching two women argue in front of him about which kid belongs to who. So instead, didn't say go and kill the baby.
Mm-hmm.
Because if he said that, the baby would have died. And
Exactly.
that would have taken a tint on King Solomon.
Yeah.
So if we're going to talk about discernment, yeah, then, all right, we shouldn't use discernment when things are going bad. No. We should be using it more
before they actually get to a bad
before things
spot.
get out of hand. Yes. Then you look, because it's no point if you say, oh, things are getting out of hand, so you must discern. No, you mustn't take the foot off the gas. We have to be on the gas when it comes to discernment.
Yes.
Because if you look at it now, you will know. Because, okay, I can tell you're very gentle, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you're hardworking. I can tell. Because when you discern, you know, people don't talk.
Yeah, you don't need to convince
People don't
or
need to
tell
comment
your
or
own tales.
anything. People will see through their own eyes. Like, for example, when I saw somebody who've got an aggression and anger, or someone shouting, my spirit was scared that the person's going to be frightened. Then later, I realized I didn't say anything. I watched from a far distance. You get it?
Yes.
So, I mean, Timilade is going to go.
Yeah, she has to do. All right, Temilade.
Timilade. So, in the sense of it, we've got to be more practical with it. Prayer is good, but where is action?
Yes.
Where is action? Action is just 5%. Prayer is about 97%, if I'm right. The rate between, like you said, because if you want, action should be up to where prayer is, both, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, it's lower because some of us are playing laid-back mind games,
Yes.
laid-back thoughts. Because when we're too laid back, how do you expect things to pay off? You know, how do you expect things to work when the Bible says, "How do you expect your water to come when you don't get it?"
Yes.
How do you expect your cheese to come when you don't get it? How do you expect your money to come when you don't work for it? So they will require the action. You get it?
Yes.
If there's no action, then how do you want things to change?
Yeah.
That's just probably what I'll end it with.
Yeah, it's a tough one, you know, and just so you know, it doesn't have anything to do with who you are.
No.
It has to do with heart of men.
The heart of men.
Yeah, they say the heart of man is deeply wicked. So
Yeah.
it doesn't have to do with, it could happen to even the smartest of all, it can happen to the best of all. People just fall victim of, you know, sneaky people, I don't know, dishonest people, greedy people. It's just unfortunate that the world is full of people who do not have the best of intentions. Men are naturally selfish.
Yes, even
but
women.
No, men, I mean, is human beings. I mean, yeah. When I talk about men, I mean human beings are naturally selfish, but it's only those who have grace that are able to curtail theirs and think about others.
God, it's true.
Yeah, it goes back to what we talked about: production, using chemical, turn between using the wrong chemicals or not using it, or losing your raw materials. So it still goes back to the grace, yeah, the determination to do the right thing, even in the face of loss, even in the face of not gaining, even in the face of harm sometimes. And that is why it is not always an easy path to do the right things. Being if at all we should attribute Christianity to being honest, I should say it's not easy to be a Christian. It's not easy to be a
No,
real Christian. It's not
it's
easy.
even tough. It's tough. Because to
Yes.
be a real Christian, you've got to you have to die to self.
Yeah.
If you don't die to self, then you can't be the real ones.
And you're going to have to do a lot of sacrifices. You're going to have to be intentionally stupid sometimes to the eyes of the world. You're going to suffer a lot of times. You're going to suffer loss from friends, loss from possessions.
But
That's
then,
why.
but that's the price.
That's the price,
That's the
exactly.
price one needs to pay for. Because if we do not want to be a real Christian, then there's you can't have fake people and yet you can't have fake people and you say you want to be a real believer. You've got to let go of certain things.
But that's the unfortunate thing, Israel, that a lot of people want to eat their cake and have it. They still want to enjoy the glory after death, and they still want to enjoy everything while they are on earth.
I mean, you know the story. You know there's a story. I was reading.
Yeah.
Do you know Paul in the Bible?
Yes.
You know Paul and Barnabas, those two men, were going together, but problems were rising. And then Barnabas appeared to be a problem for Paul. Paul stopped somewhere. He had to make a decision. So he had to let go.
Yeah.
Because the choice he had was not easy.
Mm-hmm.
His choice was very tough.
Difficult, yeah.
It was a tough call for Paul. If not, Barnabas would have been a problem to Paul. So Paul had to make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
A tough decision. So he had to let go of Barnabas and the friendship ended. Like you said, look, when it comes to being a real believer, it will even cost some friendships.
There are prices to be paid.
Prices they need to, because if prices are not going to be paid, then you can't be a real believer. Mm-hmm. It's going to take a lot of dying. Because I'll be honest with you, there are not a lot of people who are friends with me right now because I'm not living the life.
Mm-hmm.
It's because I am not in their level. I'm not in their lane. Most of them may think I'm too much for them. Maybe it's because I've outgrown their level.
Yes.
Maybe you've outgrown, because to be in their level, you have to drop your level and come down there.
Of course.
Which is not going to be a real believer. It takes a standing out. If you stand out, you end up attracting people who are real believers. It's like billionaires eat with billionaires.
Yes.
Millionaires deal with millionaires. So if you're going to be a real believer, you need to attract people who are real believers themselves. That would be like in the same circle. So I think that's just where I will leave that one.
Yeah. So it's and they also say bad company corrupts good mind. So if you want to stand where you want to stand, you also have to make sure that you don't get yourself. There's what we call in Catholic Church in situation, is it condition of sin, occasions of sin. They may not be real sin, but they are occasions of sin. They are situations that would warrant, sin happening. So why would you want to go put yourself in that kind of situation if you're not ready to mingle and be in the act that is not worthy of you as a person?
If they're not worthy of you as a person, it's better for them to go.
Of course, that's the point.
It's better for one to let go. There's no point holding if they can't value the God in you. if they can't really, if they can't value, if they can't really acknowledge, like mom used to say, it's better they go away. It's better they go right away, because you look, for you as a nutritionist or dietitian, you can't have friends that are not going to move you forward.
Yes.
You've got to have people who are hungry, ambitious.
Yes.
Some people who are people on your level. It's like, look, you can't see tigers dining with bears. No. You can't see lions eating dinner with snakes. They're not friends. Snakes and lions are not friends. They are too different. They're too different. Because they don't have association. Because a lion can kill a snake.
Yeah.
Am I making sense?
Lots of it.
A lion cannot be friends with a zebra, because a lion will eat a zebra. They eat. You cannot be, look, a tiger cannot be friends with a crocodile, because the crocodile, is not friends. They are too different. So you see, the truth of the matter is, we have to know who is real and who's not.
Spirit of discernment.
And like you said before, you don't eat. Look, if you're a billionaire, you're not gonna eat with poor people. You're not going to. You're not gonna associate. You're gonna associate with people who are on top. Yeah.
Tell me your friends, and I'll show you who you are.
There you go. Tell me your friends, and we'll show you who you are. Because you can't have friends if they're not saying to you, that where is the whole business going to be?
Yeah.
Because billionaires, they don't have time to do nonsense. They're either up making the money, isn't it? They're either up trying to get people ready for the next round. So you can just see where you are. When you were telling me that you're in your office.
Yeah.
I just said to myself, this is the kind of person you need to move with. This is who you move with. The ones that see you, the ones that can see your vision growing.
Yeah.
It's better you sit with those, dine with those, laugh with them, cry with them. That's what you do. You don't break bread with people who are not supposed to be sitting in your circle.
And people who share your values.
If they can't share your values, it's better to cut off the hand and let go. Isn't it?
Of course.
Because you cannot keep associates if they're not adding values to your life. If they're not adding something that's worth to your life.
Yeah.
Because you cannot be a soldier and then you're befriended with a stripper.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking, what is a stripper going to offer a soldier's life? The soldier is on the field preparing to defend and protect their nation.
Yeah.
They don't have time to go and start doing all those pieces of garbage. Soldiers are talking to their associates on the field, That's what they do. People who are dietitians, they don't have time for losers. They've got time for those who want to bring change to every single lives out there.
Of course, because that's your target.
Nutritionists, they don't talk to other people unless they are doing speaking engagements.
Yeah.
If they're not doing speaking engagements, they cannot be friends with people who are not going to value them. Because their time is so valued. They've got to make sure the food is ready, isn't it? You got to be, look, this is the price people need to pay. If you want to be great in life, you've got to learn to keep your circles that will boost your faith, that will boost your hopes, that will keep you moving. They will not say, all right, let's go down. No. They will say, how is the food? What can we do to improve it?
Yeah.
The taste and the quality. What about the special needs? What about these things? This is the kind of circle that one needs to have. Because I'm telling you the truth, you cannot have anybody and it's not going to build up anything.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It would be a waste of your time, yeah?
It would be. It'll be disaster.
And if you're not careful, you'll be dragged into their own life.
And then your life will become like you had it all, but you let them eat up your own time. And it's like, let's say you've invented a catering, yeah? Let's say your catering was running good, yeah? Let's say finger snacks catering, not hot food, everything, like from samosas to trays of sandwiches, and it's selling out well, and it's homemade bread, you know, by you, yeah, and you're cutting it into small, into those, you know, those party sandwiches, those party triangles, yeah, made by you, and people are ordering, and some is saying, but why are you not taking the cheap ones? But in your head, you want to deliver quality bread, isn't it?
Of course.
To the people, because you want them to eat healthy, isn't it?
Of
you know?
course.
Because you see,
you want them to eat healthy and right.
And right, exactly. This is where, look, people need to think about, okay, now you've got your thing going on, but who is ready to push it? Who is ready to say, yes, we can make changes, instead of getting all those chemical party sandwiches that people buy every day.
Yeah.
It looks nice on the outside, but on a long run,
yeah, what is it going to do to your body?
What is it going to do years on? Because yes, people get prawn, people get chicken, tikka, tuna, eggs, everything in those party sandwiches. But you don't know what's containing in those breads.
Exactly.
No one contains it. Because if you don't, then you know what I mean. Then it's like you're just going to waste a lot. But instead, you know, of that, one can say, why don't we order trays of party sandwich? You know, people go for occasion. Once they bite the bread, they're going to feel a difference. I say, oh gosh, it's so nice. It's bland. Oh, it's like, oh gosh. It's like, I'm enjoying my feelings, isn't it? You know? Yeah. It's like somebody said, can we have trays of ham and cheese sandwich, you know? And things like that, you know? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just ham and cheese, eggs, you know, all that stuff, you know, things like that. They'll be like enjoying it, you know? And then before you know it, it will just be like, yes, this is beautiful. Brain food is so delicious. It's like they are buying it and they say, how did you get it done? And because of that, people start, you know, want to know more. It's because you put the hard work into it. If people don't encourage you to put the hard work, then why should you be your friend then? If they're not going to push you up to where you need to be.
Exactly. You have to grow with those who support and share your values.
And your vision is very heavy. And that's why I said, if you're going to succeed, don't compromise what people need. Yeah. Go play tactical, play smart. Yeah. When you play smart, that's when everything sells out. Exactly. So it's like me now telling you, like, play smart. Now you're telling me to join your TikTok every Tuesday, which is great. Because at least it's boosting everything. Of course. So if I do it now more often, it boosts everything. It will even promote my events for future to come.
And it will also be boosting your own, because as you're here, it's also you know, adding up to your own level, meaning the amount of time you spend. See, you have a score already, like you have 2 already in your score, and all of these, they all increase, you know, they all add up to your own growth. So at the end of the day, you are not just doing it for someone, you are also doing it for yourself. So,
exactly.
It's adding to your own growth.
when you do it for yourself, it will benefit. And I think maybe that was the reason why I got TikTok, not to play with it.
No,
but I don't use TikTok to play.
I don't
use
play
it
with
to
any of my social media handles.
No,
I
and you
teach.
know what? I used to play with them many years ago, but I got tired of playing with them.
Yeah, I
I
don't play
got
with
tired
them.
of playing because I feel like it's time to use it and make a difference. Not like showing off. You want to do tummy tuck and all that nonsense.
Even this your program, you know, you can be holding it on TikTok or
Which
maybe
is like,
YouTube if you have a YouTube channel.
I mean, but I'm gonna use I think TikTok is really going to do more.
Yeah, just tell everyone it's going to be on TikTok, and then you share your handle, and then when it starts, like when you finish setting up, you share the handle again on the WhatsApp page.
I mean, what I'm likely going to do with that, because not only that, you'll need some help as well with that area.
Okay.
You know, you will need a lot of help because you will need to make sure that it sits well and nicely.
Yeah.
The Zoom is good, but I don't share it on YouTube or Facebook because I don't want it to. For me, it's part of copyright as well. So I don't want anyone taking it.
Okay.
And to run, they violate it at some point. I just keep it as protection.
Yeah.
So I don't really, because anybody wants to come and Zoom, you just come. But I record it it's not for stupid use. I only record it for personal or very important. So let's say you came on and you want to hear it again, that's still there.
Yeah,
but
to just have a
but it's only for your personal hearing, but it's not to be posted on etc. because it's just part of copyright at the end of the day.
Yes.
It's just to protect people. It's just to protect the brand itself, so it doesn't get criticized. So majority, it's all about wisdom and all.
Yeah.
But I'm really grateful that I'm using this opportunity to grow TikTok more.
Yeah. I see. But yeah, on TikTok like this, you can just come on like this. People who know you will join you, and then you discuss, general matters that affect people. And that way you just keep spreading the news. Okay, look at what we discussed today about tic and stimming. A lot of people don't even know the difference. And then when children are stimming, there is this pressure to stop them. There's this pressure to get them to behave, in quotes. Meanwhile, they are just trying to, regulate. They are just trying to get themselves to even function better, because with the stimming kind of provides that stability for them to think more and function better. Yeah.
Yeah, which is not too bad,
Yeah. All right, I have to move now so that.
That's all right.
Yeah, tomorrow is still school. Yeah.
So I was gonna say, try and let me know what the next topic you're gonna talk next Tuesday.
Yes, we will be putting it up, and then
if you can send it to me in time so I can prepare my head.
Yes, I will.
You're going to touch on, so that I would know where you're gonna be at.
Yeah.
So actually, I was gonna say, it's good, but we have to try and stay within our time limit as well, so that you don't have to stress it. Because I was looking at time and said, okay, fine, that's all right. But so what I was gonna say, starting from next Tuesday, is that we want to try and end 11.
Yes,
maximum,
just
so
10 to 11, so we can.
So what I may do, I may just signal you to say we only got 5 more minutes, so that we don't really extend it, because it's like nearly midnight. So I'll be the timekeeper. So I'll make sure that we stay within the time frame so that we can end it. Then we can say if anybody who's just came on, then we can now say if maybe there's a chance to catch up where we left, or etc. So at least you can brief those who missed it, and then those on your group chats, you can now say, right, this is this one we're touching it. So don't forget to click live. So, or maybe what I'll try and do, I'll send you a reminder before 10 to say,
we should be rounding up.
Right, and so I'll say I'll say maybe within 5 minutes before 11, I'll say, guys, we've got 5 more minutes, so we can just send it from there. Yeah, that's a very good idea. When are you going to be in Lewisham?
In what?
Lewisham.
Lewisham, I go to, okay, my next Lewisham will be the first week of August. Okay, the first week of July, sorry.
Okay,
the first Monday of July.
What, first month? Okay, first Monday of July.
Yes.
Okay, I might pop down to Lewisham then.
Yeah, I'll just let you know when I'm coming.
Yeah, then
because sometimes if my boss is not, if there's really nothing much to do, he kind of allows us to stay home.
Yeah, no, I mean, unless he's very understandable. Yeah. So at least it's just to say hello, just to meet in person, and then we can grab a little sandwich or somewhere,
Yeah, the ASD network. So good to have you. Unfortunately, we are already rounding up. We discussed about tic today. Is it bad? Is it good? We know that
you can send it to your group chat and let them know about the stimming and tics.
Yes, it would be nice. I will have to make a separate video that I'm going to post.
Yeah, probably, so they can be on board. And then when you come next week, then you can let them know where we left.
Yes, exactly.
All right, then. Well, let me leave you to it, yeah?
Yeah. All right. Thanks so much for your company tonight. See you on Tuesday.
Yeah. Take care.
Have a good evening.
See you. Bye.
Bye.